This final presentation in the series is designed to help you know more about college and its services. Our concern today is with student personnel services. I suppose the best way to indicate the importance of this area is to contrast college of today with the kind of college that developed in America last century. The one you're attending is quite different from the early college, where the faculty consisted of a handful of instructors teaching in a very narrow kind of curriculum, a few subjects. Quite often the president of the college taught a course in moral philosophy. There were relatively few students, and the faculty knew them quite well. I suppose it was this simplicity of organization, this singleness of purpose, this dependence upon the versatility of the individual professor that caused President Garfield to characterize the good college simply as one with Mark Hopkins at one end of a log and a student on the other. But this has all changed. With the advancement of knowledge, expansion of knowledge, we have a great deal of specialization that has come as a consequence. The typical professor today is highly trained in a relatively narrow field of his discipline. He sometimes feels inadequate to deal with the broad personal, social problems which you bring to the campus. It's only natural in this situation that colleges would develop a rather comprehensive system of student personnel services. And this has happened here as it has in many colleges across the country. At Ball State, student personnel services are headed by the Dean of Students, Dr. Jack Beyerl. My pleasure to introduce him at this time, say a few words about him, and he will in turn introduce the staff that will explain certain aspects of this program. Dr. Beyerl has been with the college 10 years. He took his bachelor's, master's, PhD at Syracuse University. He's been a teacher at University of Illinois and University of Tennessee. He's quite active in Student Personnel Association, the American Psychological Association, both in the state and in the country. It's a real pleasure to introduce my colleague here, Dr. Jack Beyerl. Beyerl.
Thank you, Dean Lawhead. As you might gather from the previous sessions in the orientation series, it has been the goal of all of the members of the faculty and the staff at Ball State to assist you as a student to build in 4 years or to enhance your intellectual way of life. We believe in the student personnel area that this should include your attitudes and your values, as well as the knowledge you gain in a classroom. We hope that our area can contribute to assisting you to accept the kinds of values that will center around the respect for intellectual activity, which will be lasting throughout your whole adult life. We recognize that a student's mind cannot be separated from the rest of his environment. We all accept the fact that students, you, on this campus, will spend more time in student activities, in your residence halls, and in your off-campus living quarters, or in your fraternity houses or your sorority suites, than you will spend in actual hours in your classroom. Ball State is not content to accept the time-honored process of stuffing students' minds like one would stuff sausages, or to train them like seals. Ball State gives particular attention to the aspects and all aspects of your intellectual growth. It is to this end that our area is coordinated with 3 other areas in the college. Of course, the first, the intellectual services, headed by Dean and Vice President Richard Burkhardt. I believe you have heard him speak. And the business area, headed by Vice President Wagner. And the public relations area and building area, headed by Dr. Bum. Through close relationships, our cooperation with these areas, the college attempts to help you in creating a positive stimuli which would impinge upon your whole academic environment. If you'd let me digress for a second, I think of a college that I visited yesterday afternoon. It's called Tri-State. Maybe some of you people know about Tri-State at Angola. Their buildings are rather old and rather dingy. But on the campus, there is one building that is real interesting. It's their library. It's a new building. And when we came away from this campus yesterday that we were visiting, we said, we really couldn't build this building at Ball State. There's a great deal of space that is not functional. And then one of our educational leaders said, but they need to do this because some of their other buildings are so crowded. They're interested in creating the kind of environment where a student, at least some part of his day, will not feel crowded. This is what I'm trying to say. We are concerned about the total environment in which you live, trying to create the kind of environment that will encourage you to an intellectual way of life. Each of our areas have several professional workers who will assist you in developing this way of life. You have already been in contact, of course, with our admissions office, but there are 9 other sections which view their activities as true extensions of the Ball State classroom. As a prospective student or a prospective graduate, you will already have had contact with the counseling and testing office, as well as the admissions office. Have you stopped to think how busy that admissions office has been in the last year? They processed 3,000 applications. Let us take a look at some of the other areas. Can you see them? Would you raise your hand if you cannot see them? Well, I think we have some difficulty with lighting. Let us pursue for just a second. Up on the top in the red, of course, the top block is the president, then the executive assistant to the president. The other red blocks I've already explained as the business area, instructional area, public affairs area, and the student affairs area. The student affairs area is in yellow. Organized under the student affairs area are 2 assistant deans. They're monitoring this service from the back. There's Dean turn around. There's Dean Whitcomb on your right as you face them, and Dean Collier on your left. There, you're viewing my right and my left arm. We work as a team. And to give leadership to the 9 areas. Our 9 areas, if you'd allow me for a second, let me walk over, and I think I can extend my voice. First, the registrar and admissions area. Next, counseling and psychological services. The man sitting on your left, Dr. Dunham, is in charge. Our health service, which is staffed by 3 medical doctors plus nurses. Scholarship, aid, and employment. The man second from your right, Mr. Beck, is in charge. Placement Bureau. We pride ourselves with placing nearly 100% of our graduates. Advisor-informed students. Advisor-informed students. And our housing area, both on and off campus. Mr. Bryan, at the end of the table.
Student activity area, Dr. Knueppel. And the religious activities area.
9, I believe I'm correct, 9 areas in the student affairs general area.
This morning, I'd like to have 4 or 5 of the directors of these areas talk to you about some of the services, some of their concerns, and their philosophy in working with Ball State students. You probably have met representatives of the Counseling and Psychological Services area, for they administered your Ball State testing. But the Counseling and Psychological Services Center has many other functions and makes many other contributions to our college campus. I would like to introduce Dr. Dunham, Director of Counseling and Psychological Services, who will describe in more detail the functions of his area. Dr. Dunham?
Thank you, Dr. Beyerl. The Counseling and Psychological Services Center offers professional counseling for all students of the college. Through its staff of professionally trained personnel, the center is prepared to assist you with concerns and problems relating to educational and vocational choice, academic achievement, interpersonal relations, your own self-understanding, and problems of environmental or situational stress, problems that occur in certain situations in which you find yourself. What are some of the specific problems about which students seek counseling? The following represent some of the typical problems or concerns indicated by students seeking help. I'm not sure what my major area of study should be. I'm not able to concentrate on my studies. And another, I get nervous when I take exams. I am afraid to recite in class. I feel all nervous and mixed up, but I don't know why. Another one, I feel shy in social situations. I wonder what my abilities really are. I don't know what I believe in anymore. And finally, I worry all the time. These are some of the typical kinds of problems that students sometimes bring to the counseling center. What can one expect of counseling? What is it like? Well, counseling is talking. The counseling setting provides a place and an opportunity where you, the student, and counselor can freely discuss facts and feelings. The counselor assists and encourages the student to talk about the situation, to talk about the problem or the worries that concern him. The counselor listens with the purpose of understanding the student's concerns and understanding his feelings about the problem. He usually discusses with the student the possible ways in which he would be able to assist and help you to understand what may be expected from counseling. Counseling setting is one of freedom, warmth, and friendliness. It's an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect between you and your counselor, so that both may discuss the problem without fear, without embarrassment, or without threat. Counseling setting provides an atmosphere of acceptance and understanding in which you, the student, can think the problem through with your counselor. Now, one cannot expect the counselor to solve your problem, or to make decisions, or to even free you from responsibility. The purpose of counseling is to help you, the student, gain a better understanding about the problem, about yourself, and to understand and use your own resources in understanding the problem. Counselor cannot provide answers, but he can help you to find your own answers, to gain some insight, and to become more independent. The counselor sometimes uses tests to provide further information for his use and for you. However, tests can only supply further information. They may be helpful in finding a solution or in providing additional information, but they cannot furnish the answers, or they cannot make the decisions for you. You have to do this. If the counselor feels that a problem of health may be contributing to a problem, or that a student's health might be affected by a problem, he might ask you to make an appointment at the college health center. Similarly, a physician at the health center might ask students to make appointments at the Counseling and Psychological Services Center if they feel a health problem is contributing to or causing worries or other problems. Now, the Counseling and Psychological Services Center is located on the third floor, east end of the administration building in rooms 308, 310. The hours are 8 to 12 and 1 to 5, Monday through Friday. Appointments can be made by seeing the receptionist, or you can call, and the number is 4736. It is in the student directory. Usually students have to wait 2 or 3 weeks for an appointment because of our waiting list. However, in an emergency in which you feel you cannot wait, you may explain this to the receptionist and she will arrange an earlier appointment for you. The center, as a part of the student services area, is committed to the purpose of providing services to facilitate self-understanding and growth and to the adjustment of independent responsibilities for the students of Ball State, for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dunham. Are you saying then in a wait of 2 or 3 weeks that there has been an acceptance of the counseling services on campus?
That's right. We, in spite of the waiting list and that one has to wait, students are willing to wait to come in and do. In fact, some have to wait longer than that in some cases. But we have 8 counselors now and are able to provide, I think, the services when they're needed if it is an emergency.
Thank you. Of course, I've always felt that our best advertisement in terms of a psychological services center is a referral from other students.
Thank you.
Well, our concern about your admissions, about health, is community health, about the psychological or the emotional adjustment while you're learning, are only part of the services at Ball State. I'd like to present Dr. Margaret Knueppel, who is Director of Student Programs. She will describe some of the less formal situations in which learning may take place under the direction of our professional student personnel workers. Dr. Knueppel.
As a student here at college, you are part of many groups. Some of them are your living groups, religious groups, interest clubs, classrooms, social groups. Some of these are very formal in terms of membership. Others are very casual, perhaps for an hour, a short period of time. No matter how formal or how casual and fleeting is the group, your experience is of great importance as you are learning from these social experiences outside the classroom about yourself as you relate and live with other people. Out of all of these experiences, you're learning things about yourself and hopefully about your skills, your attitude, your understanding, and your values. We have many kinds of activities here at the college. All campus, small groups, registered, and I'm sure you've heard that word already, and non-registered. Some are very serious, some for sheer fun, some simply release energy. However, regardless of how many of these you are part of, we're concerned, as you would be, not with the number that you participate in, but with the quality of the experience that you're having. In the Office of Student Programs, we have many contacts with students. And may I just give you a few examples of some of the things that you as a student may experience as you are in contact with us. Supposing you are a member of the Junior Girl Watchers Club, a registered group on campus, and you want to hold a party. Well, the first thing we hope you would do would be to come into the office and check through the all-college social calendar for a date on which to hold your party. A very good reason for this would be to find the date which is the most suitable and convenient for your group in relationship to all of the other activities occurring on campus. After you have secured a date which seems good in relationship to you and your plans for the group, as well as for the remainder of the calendar, you then proceed to make some plans. This may involve some publicity. The finding out where can posters be put up on campus. How do you get a banner hung up between the trees? What are the sizes of things that can be used as publicity? Okay, then we have a few details of that settled. Then there's also the question of plans for this particular party. Do you need a band? What kind of space facilities will you need? All of the details of planning an event on campus can be facilitated in one way or another through the services of the office in this area. Perhaps you need to be in contact with other groups on campus. Here, we can help you find the names of these other groups and the officers of these groups. Perhaps you want to invite faculty or members of the community to your event. Again, there are ways and means of doing this, and we can help you explore this. I'm sure you're going to be holding some committee meetings. So you will need space for these meetings. You will perhaps need some know-how on where do we go from here. Perhaps at some point, a group that you belong to is planning on taking a trip, or perhaps you yourself will serve as a representative of your group and attend a conference or a convention as a delegate. Again, this trip or your function as a delegate needs to be registered so that we know when you are going and where are you going as you represent your group and the college. Perhaps the group that you belong to is looking for a service project, would like to do something of real worth for the community. Here again, we in the office can help you connect with those services in the community who may be looking for students such as yourself to participate in events. Perhaps you have some real political leanings. You're interested in forming a young Federalist union, or you'd like to take part in. Perhaps you want to invite faculty or members of the community to your event. Again, there are ways and means of doing this, and we can help you explore this. I'm sure you're going to be holding some committee meetings. So you will need space for these meetings. You will perhaps need some know-how on where do we go from here. Perhaps at some point, a group that you belong to is planning on taking a trip, or perhaps you yourself will serve as a representative of your group and attend a conference or a convention as a delegate. Again, this trip or your function as a delegate needs to be registered so that we know when you are going and where are you going as you represent your group and the college. Perhaps the group that you belong to is looking for a service project, would like to do something of real worth for the community. Here again, we in the office can help you connect with those services in the community who may be looking for students such as yourself to participate in events. Perhaps you have some real political leanings. you're interested in forming a young Federalist union, or you'd like to take part in campus politics. Well, there's plenty going on. If you can search out those who feel as you do, or if you have a certain issue that you feel must be presented before student government, the Student Senate, which is the representative group of students on campus, and the Student Center Governing Board, which is the all-social governing group on campus, have offices in one area of the Office of Student Programs. Here are students who are active in student life across the campus. These are students you should know. These are groups who will put out information, both in the campus newspaper as well as in many publicity, posters and things are going on campus. Keep in touch with this. Know what is happening to your campus government. Perhaps they are looking for committees. A call will be put out, a notice in a paper. Applications will be available. Again, the office area serves as a means of identifying those people who are interested in finding out information, connecting them with those who are looking for willing workers. The Student Orientation Corps will be reforming during the late winter or early spring. A call will go out. For all those who are interested, come to a meeting. The steering committee begins to lay plans for the coming year. All of this, the wheels, the machinery of student life, will form through the Office of Student Senate and the Student Center Governing Board and their many, many subcommittees and groups on campus. All of these are some of the ways in which we feel students can gain a richer experience from their life while they are here. I think we have several major responsibilities as we see ourselves as professional staff in the office. One is to be a service area, serving as a link between student groups on campus. Another responsibility would be to assist in building a more balanced social program for the entire student body on this campus. Another responsibility would be to serve as a link between community and campus, between students and faculty and administration. But perhaps most important of all, we feel that this area of student life can help individuals to discover and to form personal objectives, to make choices on the basis of some of these objectives and activities, and to accept and evaluate their experiences that they have. You can gain confidence in yourself. You can gain respect of others and security as you participate in the life of the whole campus. Specifically, we have over 170 organized groups on campus. If you're interested in being in one of these groups, we have opportunities to participate in many kinds of leadership roles, from the top man or chairman to the willing worker. If you want an organized social life, you can have it. But that isn't the whole picture of student life on campus. The whole picture is the quality of the kind of experiences you're having and you are looking for. It's the totality. It's all you're feeling and thinking and doing as you are work and play with your other students on campus. Activities are a part of this process.
Thank you, Margaret. If I wanted to sponsor the Girl Watchers Society or group, where would I go?
Well, I think a good place would be to start in our office and say, I'm interested in a group like this. And we would help you find, and with one way or another, others who are interested in such an endeavor.
Now, where is the office?
I'm sure you find them. The office is in the basement of the Student Center, and I'm sure you've already discovered the Student Center. So do look for us down on the basement floor of the Student Center at the east end of the building, opposite scholarships the end where you will find the bowling alleys and the recreation area. We look forward to seeing many students there during the year.
Thank you, Margaret. Another busy place. Scholarships, financial aid, and employment. I guess there's one thing that doesn't change in a college life, or at least from my generation to yours, and that's the shaking of the envelope when you get a letter from home. Well, I think there's something more than shaking an envelope in today's college. It's part-time work, scholarships, employment. Money is a big factor in the educational system. I'd like to introduce Mr. Norman Beck, who will talk a little bit more about our scholarships, aids, and employment office. Mr. Beck?
Thank you, Dean Beyerl. In our office, we are concerned with the worldly philosophy of economics. Peter Drucker, a management consultant, has said that the main effect of automation will not be upon production techniques and upon employment, but will be upon our culture and our education. Our society is now in a spot where we must educate everyone to the top of their capabilities. Peter Drucker also said that the money is available in the society, but unfortunately, the money is not as available as it could be. As the United States has a budgetary problem for education, I'm sure you also have one. In preparing your budget as a prudent freshman before coming to campus, you had to consider how you were going to meet the expenses, which are approximately $1,600. You could look toward parental support, or your own savings while you were in high school, or summer employment before coming to campus. After you get on campus, there's then part-time employment, a student loan, or finally a scholarship. Now, obviously, we cannot control the first three, the parental support, or your savings, or your summer employment. But we do look to these in determining financial aid. The three remaining items, the employment, the loans, and the scholarship, are the areas that are covered in the Student Financial Aid Office, which is located in the Administration Building, room 201. Now to get to some specifics regarding how to obtain financial aid. Let us start with scholarships. In order to receive a scholarship, you must have need, you must have academic ability, and you must be engaged in some type of extracurricular activity. The need is a relative thing, something that will be different with each and every individual and with each and every family. The academic ability, if you do not have a 3.0 average, you do not have a chance to receive one of our scholarships. In the extracurricular activities, we are not interested in how many activities can you join. We are interested in the quality of your participation in these activities. The deadline for the receipt of applications is April 1st of next year. I say this is the final deadline, and it will be. There are 10 to 12 applications for every new scholarship that we award on the upper class level. These applications will be available anytime after the first of the year. You may come to our office and pick one up. Already this year, we have administered about 1,200 scholarships to about 1,200 people, and these have been worth on an average of $250. They are not large, but they will help you in meeting your college expenses. The next area is loans. Loans are a good investment. The average college graduate now earns in a lifetime approximately $435,000. The average high school graduate earns $257,000. The difference of $178,000 being the rough estimate of the value of a college education. However, there are some very decided disadvantages to loans, and I think we should realistically examine these disadvantages before we partake of them. If any of you are planning to go into the service upon graduation, you must know the loan fund from which you borrow, because it may state that payment begins immediately upon graduation, and the serviceman's pay is not great. If you're intending to go on to graduate school, many loans make no provision for this, the first payment is due within a few months after graduation, and you may find yourself in a position of not being able to go ahead. Many of you will be married. If you take a typical loan of $3,000 to the man and $2,000 to the woman, this may mean that you will be repaying between $200 and $250 a month as a family. Many of you are going to be teachers and other professional people. Most professional starting salaries are low. You will be repaying these loans from your low starting salary. Perhaps the best loan from which you can borrow is the National Defense Loan. Let's now examine this loan against the criteria that I have suggested. To get this loan, you must have need and a 2.5 grade ratio. Already this year, we have given national defense loans to over 500 people for an average loan of $500. In terms of the service, there is a moratorium upon this loan if you go into the service upon graduation for a period not to exceed 3 years. If you're going to graduate school, no payment is due, no interest is collected upon this loan while you are a full-time student. The interest is a simple 3%, and no interest is accrued during the time that you are in school. Repayment, you have a 10-year period in which to repay the National Defense Loan, much greater than other plans. And if you plan to be a teacher, the government forgives 10% of your loan plus interest for each of 5 years that you will teach during the 10-year period after you graduate. This means that they forgive 50% of your loan and the interest that would have accrued on this 50%. There are many other commercial loans through the banking systems in Indianapolis, through the banking systems in other large cities. There are private companies in Marion, in Chicago, in Fort Wayne, and so on. Check these closely. Most of them are installment loan affairs. What I'm saying by this, it's much the same as your father buying an automobile. He receives the money today. The first payment is due within a week, 2 weeks, a month. It is simply a means of spreading out a cost of a 4-year education over a 6 or 7 year period. If you, however, are interested in simply delaying the cost of college until you're out of school and are able to pay this yourself, you do not want this type of loan. Also through the banking system, there is the United Student Aid Fund Loan Incorporated. Under this loan plan, you borrow the money through your hometown bank after you have received an application from our office and have been okayed by our office for receiving a loan. The interest here, however, is 6%, and it starts immediately. 5 months upon graduation, you must start repaying this loan, and you only have 3 years in which to repay it. Let us assume you borrow $3,000. This means that you will be making payments of $100 for slightly over a 3-year period. Employment is one of the most underdeveloped areas of student aid available to you. To get a job on Ball State campus, we look towards your skill and your needs. We must look towards your skill since you are replacing full-time personnel. It may take 4 or 5 of you to replace this person, but the job must be done. Therefore, when you graduate from Ball State, you will have an academic record and you will have an employment record. Many of your future employers will come back to Ball State and they will ask for both your academic record and your employment record. There are approximately 1,500 students on campus who are employed in on-campus jobs. An additional 14,000 are employed off-campus. They are gaining valuable experience. You can make between $400 and $500 simply during the 9-month period that you're here working part-time. If you are on or near the campus during the summertime, additional money may be made. Many students earn up to $1,000 a year by campus employment. The main advantage here is that there is no repayment due. Nothing is expected of you, for you have already paid. You have given your services for the money that you have received. As a warning to you that those of you who may want employment, You must keep your employment application up to date every quarter, since we look at your new schedule. Perhaps the best advice I could give to you in closing is, if you have financial aid problems, come to see us early. Don't wait until the last minute. Our favorite story that happens every year is a fellow that comes in 3 weeks after school has started, says, I have $40 in the bank, what do I do now? We cannot help this individual. But if you come to us early, we will take every energy that we have and put it towards planning for you a financial aid budget that will take you through 4 years of school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Speaking of loans reminds me of my trip this last week. I left without my pocketbook, with no money whatsoever. I owe the president $10. I think I'm going to have to pay him back this morning. I do feel that our employment record at Ball State has been exceedingly good. The number of students that we employ as compared to other colleges and universities is quite favorable. Is this not correct? Next, Mr. Bryan, a man who has a very important job. He's director of residence hall. He's concerned about the kind of environment which is conducive to your personal growth, the approximately 18 to 20 hours that you are not in the classroom. Mr. Bryan.
You ever notice there's an individualist in every crowd? I thought I'd try this as a kind of a new experience, because I want to talk a little bit about new experiences for you, and I thought maybe I might try for one myself. Before I get started, I'd like to clear up what I feel to be a disillusionment for some of the young men here. I think the inference has been made that a person has to be organized to do girl watching. That's not true. Not true at all. Dean Beyerl has said that my responsibilities are in housing. He said residence halls is housing in general. I have a real capable person working as director of residence hall. That's Miss Lawhead. Also have another capable person, Don Haitner, working strictly with off-campus. So these two people help me a great deal. But I kind of wonder this morning what housing means to you. I'd like to expand it just a little bit, I believe. Does it mean the management of a series of residence halls, the approval and supervision of a number of off-campus homes, concern for the physical places where students live? Yes, it does mean that, but it means a great deal more to us. We're concerned in providing an environment that's conducive to living in general and studying in specific. But more than that, we're concerned about what happens to each of you in the place where you live. And when I say what happens to you, I mean what happens to you that is beneficial to you as a growing, developing, learning, changing individual. Does your place of residence assist you in the learning process, or does it hamper you? This is a question we ask. For instance, can you study only when the television has been turned off and only after other people have gone to bed? Are you an isolated person from the college community, or does your place of residence seem to be a part of your college life? Are others there interested in your progress as a student? And does your place of residence offer any opportunities for you to learn to become the type of person you want to become? I wonder if you've thought about the place where you live as having any relationship to your objectives for coming to college. We think it does. It seems to me that everyone comes to college for a number of reasons, and of course you all know what these reasons are. Most of these reasons will reflect the desire for some measure of personal growth and change. I should like to point out that growth and change in a college setting can happen most anywhere the individual comes in contact with an idea, has a new experience, or discovers a new relationship between old facts. Since the college student spends a good deal of his time in the place where he lives, the potential for this growth and change can be very great. Some of this growth, of course, will be related to academic areas as preparation or made for the next class, but each individual will have additional opportunities for new experiences and new thoughts that will invite a new dimension for personality development. Let me be a little more specific. If you're fortunate enough to have a roommate that you've known only for a short time, chances are that you've discovered that he doesn't really react to everything as you do. He may have convictions that are different from yours. He may insist upon a particular truth that you've always known as fiction or fantasy. And while you may be alike in many respects, you may reflect negative attitudes where you have positive attitudes and vice versa. You may even find that he likes math where you may have a preference for social science or English. And you may attend practically no social activities while you attend many or most of them. In spite of these differences, you're probably aware that he's a pretty nice person. If you have such a roommate, you are indeed fortunate, although you may sometimes feel that you would be more comfortable with a person more like yourself. To be too comfortable, however, would deny you the opportunity for any real growth, because growth usually is accompanied with a bit of discomfort. Let's suppose you have such a roommate. How can a person so different be of any real value to you? Well, his strong convictions about things with which you disagree will cause you to look deeper for the reasons for your own convictions. His differences will make you more aware of yourself as a wholly unique person. His opposite attitudes about some things will make you more aware that individuals approach things differently. His reaction to you may not be what you've grown to expect over the years, and therefore you may have an opportunity to see yourself more realistically as others see you. In short, through this one association, you may be better able to understand yourself, and in all likelihood you will come to sincerely appreciate your roommate's differences as much as his similarities to you. Now, if you're part of a larger living group, you can expect more experiences which will help you grow as a person. Each person in a large living group soon learns that he must respect the needs of others. And each person learns that he has a new set of responsibilities that weren't so obvious to him in his home situation, although they were probably present there. He learns that he has a stake in anything the group does, and conversely, the group expects him to respond within expectations of the group. The necessity for rules and the importance of obeying these rules become obvious. Democratic ideals emerge, with everyone assuming a part of the responsibilities for self-government. But above all, in a large group, a person becomes aware of real differences in himself and the differences in other people. It's very important to seek out new experiences, new ideas, and new relationships. For it is through these media that growth and change can occur within you. Wherever you live, we hope you will take the most opportunities, make the most of your opportunities for personal growth and change that you find there. We hope you will accept others as they are, and in so doing, you will have started a chain reaction that allows others to accept you as you are today. What I've just stated here is at the core of the objectives we have in housing at the Ball State campus. And we'd like to encourage each of you to seek out people in the housing area for any problems you have related to this phase of your education. Seek out your house mothers, if you have one. Seek out your residence hall directors, the director of off-campus, the director of residence halls, and myself. And if you have some doubt as to where we are, we're in the Hardy Hall over next to the Presbyterian Church. Go around to the back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. See what your leadership does. I might also add that we're thinking in terms of moving you from the back to the front, getting you over in Lucina Hall real soon, where our new health service when our new health service building opens up. then we'll move our housing office in the basement of Lucina Hall. This is a real exciting area, planning for housing. I might add that Ball State does look ahead. These past weeks, we've been planning a residence hall to be opened in 1967. We're beginning to make the plans for it now. So it takes a great deal of planning, a great deal of thought that goes into providing the kind of environment that will encourage you to accept an intellectual way of life. Although we do not require, we do strongly encourage you to make use of the services that have been explained this morning and all of the other services that were explained, for they do contribute to your total growth. It is our belief that the whole campus, inclusive of the classroom, serves as a laboratory for you to test your values, your attitudes, and your ideas, which are so necessary to develop this way of life. All of the professional staff members are attempting to create the educational climate which encourages you to practice and become tolerant, understanding, generous, and cooperative, and display a basic respect for one's fellow man. Due to the availability of the services and the creation of a healthy environment, we in the entire student affairs area make every attempt to help you to test, to explore, and to find yourself in preparation for your acceptance in 4 short years of a responsible leadership role in the communities of Indiana, the United States, and the world. The time is short. May we contribute. Thank you very much.